on the road again. Haunted road trip. Did we say hashtag, Luke, or did we say...
We said a lot of things.
Hashtag 2. So it's our second haunted road trip, basically. And obviously you can see, sat to my right here, we've got the orange. And driving, we've got the Riddler. And in the front, we've got the Jack the Hat McVitie.
Or Captain Jack Sparrowlegs.
Captain Jack Sparrowlegs. And we're going to do an haunted pub crawl around Derby, which claims to be one of the most haunted cities. Well, is it a city or town in England?
Gonna be now. Too mysterious.
We're going to meet our good friend Wayne Truman, and he's meeting us at Derby Gaol. So when we get there, we'll bloody let you lot know. So Neil, you got anything to add?
I am looking forward to this. We've been there before, but we was dressed as pirates. So a bit of a difference now.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Gotta go back because I'm hooked.
Yeah. But I'm really looking forward to it. I had a good night last time. So see what it brings.
And on that bombshell there's a famous thumb. There's the famous thumb on that bombshell right there. We'll see you at Derby Gaol. So we finally arrived at the jail. We're at the front. Can't get around the back because the pissing council have built a massive skyscraper. Luke, I think we've got to go downstairs.
Gotta go down here. Follow me.
Come on. So we're finally in the jail, and we're here with our good friend Wayne, and the myth, the legend, that is Richard Felix.
Welcome to Derby Gaol. Now, the amazing thing is that this is a jail, it's not a prison. What? There's a difference. We didn't, in 1756, when this was built, we didn't actually have prisons. You weren't put in prison for a crime. You were only kept here like being on remand until the trial. 4 trials a year, spring, summer, autumn and winter assizes. And once you were found guilty, if you were found guilty, then punishment would be meted out on you. And it wasn't imprisonment. It was either being whipped at the cart's tail till your back be bloody, so tied to the back of a horse and cart and literally dragged through the streets of Derby with the jailer whipping you with a cat o' nine tails, ripping all the flesh off your back, sometimes down to the bones, and then brought you back here and put you back in the cell and rubbed salt into the wounds, depending on the nature of the crime as to whether you were actually taken out again next week. Same thing. That would kill you, no doubt about that. Number 2, transportation. Guess where to? Not Australia, not in 1756. We haven't got it. America. All our convicts were transported to America. Then we lost America and we got nowhere to send them. And that gave us the idea of prisons. Because we used to send people down to the River Thames, put them on a prison ship, which was an old decommissioned battleship that they compartmentalised wood and kept them in there. And then, whoopee, we got Australia. And so we started sending them over there big time. So that's number 2. Number 3, branding on the side of on the palm of the hand with R and T. Rogue and thief. It's like an early form of DBS, or, yeah, think about it. You try and go into a jewellery shop with a big R and T on your hand, yeah, out. And the 4th one, of course, hanging. Derby being the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution and the first factory in the world, Derby, people copied Derby, and all up and down the country there were factories and mills sprung up, and so everyone moved out the countryside into the towns, living in squalid, disgusting conditions. very poor wages, and the crime rate went through the roof, literally. So the government created 222 hanging offences. Stealing a sheep, stealing a cow, horse stealing, shop breaking, house breaking, rape, attempted rape, murder, attempted murder, breaking down riverbanks, cutting down ornamental trees, setting fire to haystacks. 4 guys hanged in front of this building in 1817 for setting fire to a haystack at South Wingfield in Derbyshire. In the same year, 3 men hanged and beheaded. The last beheading with an axe in Great Britain in front of Derby Gaol on the 7th of November 1817. More crimes punishable by death: poaching, snaring rabbits, same thing. Appearing on the street with a sooty face. Why would you appear on the street with a sooty face at night? Camouflage cream. You're obviously a burglar or a poacher. Hanging offence. What about chimney sweeps? I don't know. Perhaps they had to have a wash in between jobs. Anyway, big one, because let's get down to the ghosty business. Why are there so many ghosts in this place? Number one, obviously, as a good Christian, everybody was born a sinner. And everybody that came through this door, of course, or these gates, obviously were considered sinners. That's the first problem. But, big one. So, we've got a lad, he's 26, he's got 4 kids and his wife's pregnant with a fifth. They're starving, he's out of work, and him and his missus stopped eating, literally 3 weeks earlier, to get any scraps they could get for the kids, literally starving to death. And so he goes off up to a place called Kedleston Hall up here and snares 3 rabbits in the woods. He's caught by the gamekeeper. The rabbits are confiscated as evidence, and he's brought back here and put into Derby Gaol. Put on trial. Poaching is a hanging offence. He's sentenced to death. He's brought back here, sitting in the condemned cell in the dark, contemplating, knowing that not only he's going to die, but you take Dad away, they're all going to die. Wife can't go out and poach. She's pregnant with 5. So in other words, his kids are going to die. The unborn baby's going to die. And he's going to die. All for killing, snaring 3 rabbits. I don't know how many rabbits there are on Lord Scarsdale's 5,000 acre estate, but I'm sure he wouldn't have missed 3. Because I don't suppose he even ate rabbit. But anyway, right, got another lad, William Wheeldon, hacked his niece and nephew to death with a gorse hook. A gorse hook is like a scythe, but it's straighter, it's used for hedging. And the little boy of 8 put up quite a fight and he hacked him to pieces. And he decapitated his little sister. She was only 4. He was brought here, put on trial for murder, sentenced to death. We all know which one deserved to hang, but they both did. As did hundreds and hundreds of innocent people up and down the country, hanged for the most trivial crimes. So, in 1752, they realised that they needed to create a death sentence for murder, which was worse than death. Worse than death? And with the help of the church, of course, they created a terror beyond death. Terror beyond death. Marriage? No. No, or marriage. The death sentence for a murderer. Oh, first part of the Murder Act was that no murderer was allowed to be buried. No 6 foot of English earth. No gravestone with your name on it. No family around the grave. No Christian burial service to lay to rest. Okay. So, the death sentence for a murderer. So obviously no laid to rest, you see. No. So if you're not at rest, where are you? You're a tormented soul wandering the earth. Ghost. Right, the death sentence for a murder after 1752. That you be taken back from this courtroom to the jail from whence you came, and from there to a place of lawful execution. There you'll be hanged by the neck until you are dead, and then publicly dissected in the Shire Hall here in St Mary's Gate, and then anatomised. So after you were dead, or hopefully dead, you were laid on a dissecting table. The first thing they did was wired you up to a battery. Not 4 AA batteries either. I'm talking about a huge vat of water with a zinc tower in it and a copper tower and wires. And of course the body moved. The leg went up in the air, just like they do when we're wiring a toad up or a frog to electricity. Same thing. People fled. Everybody ran because this was public. The body's coming back to life. Well, of course, they weren't far from the truth. You all know how to bring people back to life now. Defib. Famous guy from Derby, Dr. Erasmus Darwin, who dissected murderers here in Derby, was fascinated by electricity. When Mary Shelley wrote the novel Frankenstein, the preface of the book, the inspiration for this novel is Dr. Darwin of Derby, after dissecting bodies here in Derby. Right, the next thing they did was skinned the body. The skin was taken to the tan yard here in Derby and skinned to use to bind books telling of the life and trial of the murderer. There are books up and down the country in human skin, wrapped in human skin. Your bones were boiled in a big cauldron to get the meat off them and wired up and made into a skeleton. Got one here. And your bits were cut up and used for the furtherance of basically two things. Number one, you ceased to exist before, well, you weren't buried. Your bits were slushed down the sluice, or the dogs ate pieces of you. But the punchline of this story is, for all good Christians in those days, if the body wasn't whole on burial, then on the day of judgment, there'd be no physical resurrection for the body. And where were you going to go? Straight to hell and burn in hellfire. For how long? Eternity. 10,000 degrees. People were once they'd invented hell, it basically, even to this day, most of the judicial system's based on 10 commandments, and it was fear. So it's a case of, my body's not whole, I'm a sinner, I ain't going to get in through the pearly gates, I'm not going down there. I'll stop here, thank you. It's caused ghosts, big time, that have stayed behind because they're terrified of divine retribution, hellfire and damnation. And to prove it, all over these doors, because all the doors are original from 1756, there's graffiti from the prisoners, messages, gallows scratched on the doors with their initials inside, but also witch marks. Witch marks, the name for them is apotropaic marks, that's Greek for keep out. They were frightened of ghosts in this building when it was a prison. They were basically witch marks. They're not to stop witches coming in, they're to stop evil spirits. They were frightened of ghosts. Yeah, and so the most famous one is a double V, because you see, there was no such thing as a W in the alphabet. There was no such thing as a U. It was V and double V. And double V means Virgin of Virgins, Mary, Mother of Jesus. And that's what's known as a Marian mark, Mary. And it's to do with Christianity, and it was to stop evil spirits coming through. The other one, which is on the doors, is a circle. And because remember these guys, this is in their psyche. This is what I'm trying to get through to people. That's why there's so many ghosts from this long time ago, because they were terrified of going to hell. And so the circle was to attract an evil spirit in, because they believed evil spirits were stupid, right? So if an evil spirit was attracted into a circle, there's no corners for it to hide. And it's rubbish, but it wasn't rubbish to them. Hence the fact all over these doors are these witch marks, graffiti, witch marks, apotropaic marks. And then on one of the doors, there's about 9 left hand prints, and with the names, the initials of the prisoners, and the condemned, and their dates all over the doors. And when I found them, I realised they were there. I obviously believed that being a left hand, it was easier to put your left hand on and scratch around it with your right hand, but it isn't. The left hand is known as the sinister hand, because the Latin for left is sinistra. And so if you'd been accused of witchcraft and they needed to find the devil's mark, be it a wart or a birthmark or if you were keggy-handed, if you were left-handed, that was the mark of the devil. That was enough to sentence you to be hanged here in this country. So the left hand being the sinister hand, you'll sometimes even now see on a building site or something a sign and there's a hand on it and it says keep out. And that's what that meant. They got them on the doors here to stop evil spirits coming in and getting them. They were frightened of ghosts when they were imprisoned here. And obviously some of them still here, big time. I've
Double
seen,
V.
no, that's not. That's that one is double VJ. That's Mary and Jesus.
I love that one because it looks like
Right.
it says twice.
Double V there. Now, not only double V, but just yeah. Can you see some petals in that? There are petals. That's
Yes.
called a daisy wheel. Again, it's a witch mark. And
Got
then,
them on my head.
then look, circle. But they're done with a compass. How the hell did someone in 1700 and something have a compass? Look, another one here. Compass. Look, hole in the middle. And then if you want a really good double V,
Oh wow.
My favourite one is this.
and another one there. Look. And another one here. And another one here. And another one here, look. I couldn't understand when I took this place over why there were so many Williams. But of course there aren't. Well,
Yeah.
well it was called, it was William, was
Yeah.
double V. That's why, oh, I'm off again, aren't I? Right, Mary Stuart, Mary Queen of Scots, Mary
Yeah.
Stuart, it was actually STEVVART. And then when we brought U and W into the alphabet, they changed it and it was STUART. Stuart, but before that it was Stuvar.
Stuvar.
Yeah. But this one, this bugger.
It's a good one, isn't it?
Double V, double V, double V, double V, double V,
On there.
double. Oh no, I think I might be wrong because I don't know what simp. Whether it's a real double V, not a W. I think that might be William Simpson. I don't know.
Could be actually.
Look, double V, double V, double V, and then.
Yeah.
Double V. No, you see that again might be double VT.
T.
I think.
Yeah.
Another one there. Never seen that one before. SS 1772, and then handprints. Oh.
There's one.
Done now. Well, that's what I just said. Got some.
I mean, it's incredible. Absolutely.
They had really small hands, didn't they?
Oh, I know.
Do it. 5 or 6 burly men behind
Pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fucking door, this is.
It's amazing. Isn't it?
Arthur in 1766. Look at that. Look at the quality of his writing.
It's always the same. They've all got really good writing in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Really gets me that.
They're time to practice, I suppose.
Yeah. Right, we're going home.
Well, yes.
I mean, the big one for me is, why don't people see ghosts of, well, not dinosaurs, because obviously, I think if you saw a dinosaur in a field, it would probably be a ghost, wouldn't it? Because it's certainly, but, so with cows, though, why don't we see ghosts of cows? Well, you wouldn't know, would you? Are there 13 cows in the farmer's field, or has he got 12? No, nobody knows. But no, why aren't the ghosts of cavemen? And that's the big one. And I'm not saying there's none, but there ain't many. And there's a big reason. A few weeks ago, I was doing a talk here, and I said, why aren't there such things as ghosts of cavemen? And this bloke in the corner said, because they were stupid. And I said, well, they were so stupid, mate, that they worshipped a god in the sky that you could see. The sun that brought life and photosynthesis, and the crops grew, and the grass grew, and it fed the animal. And all of a sudden around now, October time, their sun god decided to go away, and the nights drew in, and they panicked. The crops stopped growing, the grass stopped growing. So what did they do? Lit bonfires to try and attract the sun god. That's Halloween. That's how scary Halloween is. That's all it was. And a festival for pagans to enjoy the fruits of their labour from the harvest. And that was it. But, so, the thing is that there are no caveman ghosts because there was no religion. There was no Christianity. The caveman, he believed in the sun god that brought life, but as regards hellfire, damnation, Beelzebub, Baal, the devil, demons, the Antichrist, purgatory, Judgment Day, 10 Commandments, 7 deadly sins, 4 mortal sins. There was none of that. He didn't have any of that. So when he died, didn't he? and his spirit, soul, whatever you want to, just went to wherever they go to. You bring Christianity into it and fear. Oh, a God-fearing man. Why? Why should you fear God? Because they've created hell and damnation. And so, I mean, years ago, you know, if you put your hand on this book that was written 600 years after the event, the Bible, and said, I swear by my imaginary God to tell the truth, you had to. Oh my God, you had to tell the truth. Because if you didn't, you go to hell. And they believe that. And so, it's caused ghosts big time that are terrified to move on. And especially in a place like this. But not only this. Suicides, known as self-murder. Suicides were not allowed to be buried in consecrated ground. They were always buried at the crossroads with a wooden stake hammered through the heart to hold them into the ground. Why? Because they knew there wouldn't be arrest. And the stake was, that's where your Dracula nonsense comes from. The stake was to hold them into the ground to stop them rising from the grave and bothering people. But if they're at the crossroads and they got out, they'd be confused and not know which road to take and not bother anybody in the village. See, all this is, what I'm trying to do is put over a rational explanation for this business rather than the Scooby-Doo crap that you get on television all the time. Because there's a reality behind it. And I've seen a ghost in here at 3:20 on a Friday afternoon in broad daylight, gliding down the corridor. And I had an incredible incident 2 years ago on Halloween, sitting where you are, at this table. Whiskey glass there, group of people here, 11:20 on Halloween, and we're doing a ghost story and everything else. Luckily, young lady filming there, CCTV up there, and my whiskey glass suddenly starts to threw itself off the table. It's impossible. First thing I do was, is it wet? You know, beer slides across the bar if there's beer on it. No, it's not wet. Next thing, there's a road out there. It's 11:20. Do you think the lorry went by? So we get another glass, put it there, and I bang the table to see if it doesn't. And then the last thing I do is a couple sat here, and I said to the young lady, I know you didn't, but will you nudge the table? So she nudges the table, and off comes the glass. Off comes the glass. But the glass didn't move. It bounced a bit, but it didn't come off.
Yeah.
Only one explanation. Poltergeist. In fact, it's on YouTube. If you just put in whiskey glass YouTube, it's there for all to see.
Thanks, Richard. That is absolutely fantastic.
Pleasure. Going home now. I got the day off.
I just want to say it's an absolute pleasure today doing a paranormal aisle at Derby Gaol. I want to say thank you to Richard and Wayne for inviting us down. It's just an absolute pleasure. I never thought I'd ever do this, but we've got Brewdog Punk IPA, and on the side of the can it says the beer that started it all, which is very true. This is one of our first ones we ever did, wasn't it, John? So I'm going to give it a good whirl. And I know what it tastes like, you know what I mean, but I love this drink.
I don't know that.
It's a good solid 4.8 out of 5 on the old paranormal aisle scale. And as I say, what a pleasure having to do it in Derby Gaol. And it's just, we just had a cracking talk by Richard, and it's absolutely fantastic. Do you say, Jackie boy?
Yeah, it is actually the first ever beer they created. The two blokes who two men and a dog who created Punk IPA.
Yeah.
Brewdog, and that was their first beer. Transatlantic hops from New Zealand, I believe.
Yes.
But it is a really good drink. 4.5 out of 5. It's beautiful. Nice.
Cheers, Jackie boy.
Cheers.
Welcome to Derby Gaol Gardens, where we have a little display that we have out of different elements of torture, mainly execution. But we'll start with the oldest one, which is that one there. It's the first revolution of hanging. So when you hear people nowadays say I'm on the wagon or I'm off the wagon regarding the drinking thing, it actually does stem from that. Because especially in Derby, we used to have the Derby Mile. Now that was, you were a criminal, you were put on the back of a horse and wagon and taken from Markeaton Park and led to the point of execution. And on the way, you were allowed to stop at every single pub on the way and get a free pint of beer, believe it or not. What a way to go. And then obviously at the end of it, you were off the wagon, because what they'd do is they'd drive it underneath a gallows like that, and the horse would be slapped on the backside, the cart would slowly go away, and you'd drop off the bottom, and then basically you'd slow strangulation. And all hanging was slow strangulation. It's not what you see in the films. You could hang up for 20 minutes and still be alive. It wouldn't be very pleasant. You'd bleed from every orifice, your nose, your ears, your eyes, your mouth. Your teeth would clench so tightly together, your teeth would break, your tongue would try to force its way out through the gullet, through the broken teeth, so that would shred as well. You would pee and poo and defecate yourself, and it was a complete public humiliation. Later on, they did bring in the drop system, which is something like that one over there. But even then, it was not a drop system. You hear the term kick the bucket. Oh, he's kicked the bucket. That's what they used to do. Used to stand them on a chair or a bucket, and they used to kick it from under you. But still, the drop was not enough, and still you could hang up for a good 15-20 minutes. Then they brought out the new drop system, which was the the trap door, where you would fall straight through. And because it was a drop, pray to God that it did snap your neck straight away, and it'd be a pretty quick death. But even that would depend on your weight and your height. If you weren't heavy enough, then obviously there would be time for you not to have your neck snap, basically, and you would still be hanging there. But then that's where we get the saying clingers on and hangers on, and that goes with all forms of hanging, because they would invite friends and family to come in and actually quicken your death, or a mercy death, by clinging onto your legs and pulling you down, quickening the strangulation method and quickening your death. Which seems nice, but think about it. If it's your wife or your dad and he's hanging and you're invited forward and you're the one that's got to kill him, imagine how that would play on your mind. And they wonder why there's ghosts. Later on, we had the French. They brought in the guillotine. The French, apparently the inventors of mayonnaise, I had to say that, which obviously was a lot quicker in, which was simple, laid you down, a basket. You were better off being the first one of the day, because the basket was empty. If you were second, third, fourth of the day, then there would be heads already looking at you with blank expressions on their face and a lot of blood. But they would basically, and it would be pump, quick death, we hope. There are rumours that your head will remain alive for about 10 or 20 seconds, because it is connected to your brain at the end of the day. So there is speculation to whether you actually see your head falling to the basket. Could you imagine that? So yeah, that was. We also used to do pressing to death. There's not a very good one, but you'll see a mannequin over there. As far as I'm aware, Derby is the last place to ever do pressing to death. Again, there's a popular catchphrase that's taken from that, used on game shows mainly, where someone will be asked a question and they're and ahhing, and the host will go, "I have to press you for an answer." That's exactly where that comes from.
Right, so we're here with Wayne at Derby Gaol. So Wayne, what kind of things have you seen here, or have you heard here? What kind of things have you experienced?
The list goes on and on and on and on and on.
That's your favourite?
Those haunted were here, and they got the cross, which we still own. The cross that moved on the bed. The banging and stuff that I told you about earlier on, where Richard was sat here, and it's happened on so many occasions where we've literally not even been talking about ghosts or doing an investigation. We're literally just in this building chilling, and something will happen that will make us all jump out of our skin. And then when we go in, as Richard always says, always check the normal before you check the paranormal.
Absolutely.
And we checked everything, and there was just nothing in here that could prove it. A bit like Richard's ghost story, when he saw the ghost at 3:30 on a Friday afternoon. He checked everything. Was it fog? Was it mist? Was it a kettle on? Was there? And there was just nothing. Plus, there was no way any of that could form a perfect human figure anyway. But you always got to check the normal. Everyone always goes, "Oh, we're going to go to the condemned cell. The condemned cell's got to be the most haunted," but it's not. And I'm sorry to poo-poo any fans out there of the jail, but it is not the most haunted place. The most haunted cell in this place is either the debtor's cell, or, believe it or not, the cell that no one really goes in anymore, and that's this one behind the bar. We've had a lot of weird stuff. When I do a seance or anything, I always go in the debtor's cell, and I guarantee you, something happens. We were in there 2 weeks ago. It was a normal ghost tour, but we had a storm that night, so I gave the ladies a choice of go out, get piss wet through, or stop in here and we'll have a proper paranormal and ghost story night. And they were like, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Which is great for the bar, because they, you know, because we're not going to other pubs drinking, they were having a couple of drinks here, but none of them were drunk, and just for the record, 3 of them did not believe in ghosts at all. I took them into the debtor's cell, and we did a seance. We turned all the lights out, blocked the window up, it was pitch black, and there's a particular spirit that haunts this place that likes to play certain games. And I did not tell them what these games were. I just wait for them to happen. And all of a sudden I heard, oh! I was like, what? Because I can't see what's going on, because everything is black. My arm's moving. I was like, yes, it's happening. And basically what happens is you'll hold hands with somebody, you're obviously in a seance position, so one hand up, one hand down, and your arm will levitate. Feels like it's levitating. But I thought it was a setup, because the woman that it was happening to was actually linked up with one of our workers that works here. And I was like, yeah, this could be being faked by one of our staff, because I know what they can be like here sometimes. So I went, well, that's very good if that is you, Edward, because we call this particular ghost Eddie, or Edward, who's a little boy that haunts this place. I says, but if that is you, I need you to pick on someone else that's not so obvious. And the minute I said that, someone this side went, oh! And I went, what? And the other person's arms went down and their arms started going up. The interesting fact was the 2 women that did not believe in ghosts whatsoever. And I got them to explain it. And they went, I can tell if it's not her pulling my arm. And the other one went, and I can tell it's her not pulling my arm. None of us are pulling each other's arms. My arm is definitely going up. And it was like that. I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like it. So just don't fight it, just let it go. He's not going to hurt you. And they bring your arm right up. And then I says, and he sometimes can be really horrible. And they went, oh, it's going back down now. I went, sometimes he can do it. And they went, no, don't. And I went, going the other way. And it's happened. I never believed this story for 10 years of working here. I always thought it was someone mucking about, but it has happened to me. Yeah. It happened to me once, and I was just like, it was the bizarrest thing in the world. I can't explain it. It feels like pins and needles, and like, it is like someone's pulling your arm up. It's a weird feeling. But there's all sorts. We've got Blythe Simpson, that's the main ghost here.